What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and welcome back to the Boxing Tip. Now, I wanted to make this video to kind of, how do I explain this? To point out a few things that I feel Daniel Jacobs needs to avoid during his March showdown with Gennady Ggg Golovkin. As you guys already know from previous videos, I am picking Golovkin to win this fight. That is no surprise, but I do think it is a competitive fight. So I just don't see exactly what Daniel Jacobs is gonna do to really, how do I explain this, offset Golovkin from doing what he does as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Basically meaning I don't think Jacobs is gonna get ran through like most other Golovkin opponents, but I do think we're gonna see a more 100% Triple G in this fight, being that I feel he will take this fight very seriously, so he's gonna go through all the proper preparation to do exactly what he wants to do in the fight. So, you know, maybe we'll get the best Triple G we've gotten so far. If we do, then it does spell trouble for Jacobs. But this video isn't about Triple G. This video is about Daniel Jacobs and me just talking about a few things that I feel he needs to be prepared for in order to be not so much successful offensively, but to kind of maybe offset Triple G from a few things that he does well. But let's go ahead and get into that. The first thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to Daniel Jacobs avoiding certain things that Triple G does well is Triple G's ability to shift during his punches. Now, when I say shifting, I mean when he throws a punch, he lands in the opposite stance. So if he throws a straight right from the orthodox position, when he lands, he will be in the southpaw position, ready to shift his momentum back to the orthodox position to throw another, you know, punch possibly coming from left hand. So it's a good way to kind of keep your momentum going and stay balanced while you're throwing power shots. But it's not only used for power shots. Some people, you know, use it for jabbing. Some people use it to establish position, and the punches are just decoy. Now, the reason why I feel like this particular thing is so important is because in the fight with Dmitry Pirog, the punch that knocked out Daniel Jacobs in that fight came from a shift, from Dmitry Pirog shifting towards Daniel Jacobs, and I think it might have threw him off, and he never saw that right hand coming, you know, that put him down. So I think that's one of the most important things, and Golovkin, in my opinion, is a better shifter than Dmitry Pirog. So that's one of the things that he needs to, you know, that he's experienced in the past that he hasn't done so well against. This is one of those things that he should probably prepare himself for, because Golovkin does shift very well, and he shifts in a variety of ways. So in order for me, or in my opinion, you know, this is just all opinion, guys, but in my opinion, if Daniel Jacobs wants to avoid getting hurt or, you know, taking too much punishment, he needs to be able to adapt, or to be able to perceive Gennady Golovkin's shifting maneuvers. You know, maybe by using his feet, being able to, you know, negate or to stop Triple G from landing in the position that he wants to be in. You know, when he shifts, throws the right, and he shifts back, and he kind of taps with a little bit of right jabs, but he establishes an angle on his opponent to really start letting off of his power punch and go. So Daniel Jacobs is going to have to take extra precautionary methods to be able to avoid Triple G establishing position on him. So, you know, getting an outside angle, you know what I'm saying, to dig some power shots, put Daniel Jacobs in a lateral line for some of Triple G's big punches. And we know Daniel Jacobs, I'm not going to say he has the weakest chin, but, you know, he has been hurt, he has been knocked down before, so this is the biggest puncher that he's going up against. He definitely cannot afford to have Triple G establish position on Daniel Jacobs to land big power punches, because we don't know how he's going to be able to react to those punches. The second thing I feel Daniel Jacobs needs to avoid is getting the ring cut off on him. I don't think him being a fleet-footed stick and move you know what I'm saying, on the bicycle punch is going to work very well for him. Triple G is probably, if not the best, one of the best fighters at cutting off the ring effectively in the sport of boxing today. Alright, going back to the Dmitry Pirog fight, Daniel Jacobs was on his back foot a lot of the time, kind of circling around the ring, trying to keep the distance from Dmitry Pirog. And it kind of backfired on him because Dmitry Pirog, he can fight well on the inside, but he does most of his work from, you know what I'm saying, like a mid-range, some closer to an inside to mid-range distance of throwing his punches. Golovkin is very good at keeping his opponents at the end of his punches. You know, he uses his forward momentum and using his power, you know what I'm saying, his punching power, and primarily the jab, to keep his opponents at a certain range and to keep them backing up. That's what allows Golovkin to fight his fight, is he likes to back his opponents up and he likes to cut the ring off on them because it puts pressure on the fighter. It makes them think about their, you know what I'm saying, like whether their evasive maneuver is going to be, and if they don't know how to avoid getting the ring cut off on them, then it's going to be a hard night for Daniel Jacobs. It really will be, because he will be playing right into one of Golovkin's primary strategies going into a fight. Willie Monroe Jr., he tried to be a stick and move type of boxer, stay on the outside of Golovkin, stay out of Golovkin's range, and it only took 1 or 2 rounds for Golovkin to finally corner, and not finally, he was pretty much cutting the ring off on him at all times and allowing Golovkin to use his forward momentum, because he fights very well with forward momentum. He was allowing Golovkin to push forward and was still landing shots on Willie Monroe Jr. even though he was backpedaling or trying to be, you know, a stick and move slickster type of boxer. And then inevitably he got the ring cut off on him, ended up in the corner. Golovkin just sat there for a second and plotted, and Willie Monroe Jr. made the worst mistake that he could make, and he tried to punch back at Golovkin as he cut the ring off on him and got him trapped in the corner. Golovkin, seen the punch coming from a mile away, threw his own left hook to counter Willie Monroe Jr.'s straight left and put him on the canvas. So we don't want to see that happen to Daniel Jacobs. He's going to have to either stand his ground and try to go toe-to-toe and use his own, because he could punch pretty good, and use his own punching power to maybe make Golovkin think twice about pushing forward, and even potentially try to back Triple G up. But it's a risk, because you get in Golovkin's range, he's going to touch you with something. And if his power is as incredible as everyone says it is, it can be a real big intimidation factor and a little disheartening for Daniel Jacobs. So who knows? I mean, it depends on what type of situation you're going to get in. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is Daniel Jacobs has a pretty decent jab, I've noticed, in his fights. One of Golovkin's primary strategies going into a fight is taking away his opponent's jab, because you need the jab to fight off someone who's using forward momentum to put the pressure on you and making you make mistakes. But if Triple G is able to effectively counter Daniel Jacobs' jab with his own jab, you know, parrying his jab or slipping his jab and throwing his own jab, if he's able to effectively take away Daniel Jacobs' jab, it's gonna be a bad night for Daniel Jacobs. He needs to avoid that. He needs to avoid letting Golovkin take away his jab, because every time he throws the jab, Golovkin's gonna touch him in between throwing his jab. So, and that makes you keep your hands at home, and it will back you up. It'll keep you backing up, and then you'll be playing right into Gennady Golovkin's forward momentum pressure style of boxing. So, and that has not worked for any fighter that he's fought so far. So I think in order for Daniel Jacobs to be successful, or at least to avoid getting hurt too badly, he needs to avoid, and we'll go over this again, he needs to avoid Gennady Golovkin's shifting maneuvers. He needs to avoid Gennady Golovkin cutting the ring off on him, and he needs to avoid getting countered, or he needs to avoid Triple G countering his jab. You know, those are 3 important things that you need to know about Golovkin in order to at least avoid becoming number 24 in his knockout streak. You know what I'm saying? So as long as as long as Daniel Jacobs can avoid any of those three things, he may well have a productive night against Golovkin. Do I think it's very likely that he's going to be able to adjust to all three things? I don't think it's very likely, just to be honest with you guys. But nevertheless, if he can at least be able to stop his jab from being countered and avoid Golovkin shifting on him, then I think he has a little bit better chance. Because even though if he gets the ring cut off on him, if he's trying to be more fleet-footed and move around the ring, even if he gets the ring cut off on him, there are still things he can do in those positions that can compensate, for being in a bad position. So, it's going to be real difficult for Daniel Jacobs. It's going to be really difficult. If he's able to stand his ground effectively and maybe force Golovkin to smother Golovkin, or at least make Golovkin stationary without any forward movement, then he might have a little bit more success. Kell Brook in the fight with Triple G, he stood his ground and was able to stop Triple G's forward momentum. Then he was able to land some of his own good shots. You know what I'm saying? His right uppercut, his straight right. I don't think they affected Golovkin as badly as people said that they did, but who knows? I'm not Golovkin. I didn't feel those punches, so I don't know for sure. But they did stop him in his tracks momentarily, so I'm sure they had some sort of effect on him. But if you can keep Triple G stationary and prevent him from moving, gaining forward momentum, then you effectively have taken away a lot of what makes Triple G such a dangerous fighter. Not everything, but some of it, you know what I'm saying? It gives you the edge. But hopefully Daniel Jacobs knows, certain, at least, like I said, these are my opinions. These aren't, these are things that I see about Triple G that he does very well. So as long as Daniel Jacobs knows these things going into the fight, then he should be able to have a more productive night, or at least not get wiped out so badly. You know what I mean? That increases chances of being able to compete with Golovkin. Because as of right now, I'm still not convinced about what Daniel Jacobs can do that's going to, short of landing a fucking bomb of a right hand that Golovkin's not going to see, I don't see him doing too much else that's going to offset Golovkin's rhythm in the fight. Golovkin, I'm sure, has respect for his powers, so believe me that he's going to make the necessary adjustments in his preparation. Come fight night, he'll be ready for that. You know what I'm saying? He's going to know what he's going to have to do in order to avoid Daniel Jacobs' power. So I'm pretty sure he has respect for Daniel Jacobs' power already. But he's going to have the necessary preparation to counteract, or to be able to fight or deal with that, with Daniel Jacobs' power. So I would like to see Daniel Jacobs making all the necessary preparations for his biggest fight of his life, you know what I'm saying? And not end up like he did with Dmitry Pirog, because Dmitry Pirog and Triple G, they don't fight exactly the same, but they do things similar. They have similar tools in the ring, so you know what I'm saying? I don't want to see Daniel Jacobs fall victim like he did against Dmitry Pirog, you know what I'm saying? So I'd like this to be a lot more competitive than what I feel like it's going to be as of right now. My mind can change. I might think later on that Triple G might completely obliterate Daniel Jacobs. Maybe later on down the line, I'm starting to see things about Daniel Jacobs that maybe, can make it more of an even fight. I mean, there is a reason why he is an 8-1 favorite, 8-1 underdog against Triple G, guys. It's not because they just like Triple G that much. You know what I'm saying? Vasyl Lomachenko was a 10-1 favorite over Nicholas Walters. There's a reason why he was, and in the fight, he showed exactly why he was a 10-1 favorite. So, you know what I mean? I know a lot of people are big Daniel Jacobs fans, and believe me, I'm a Daniel Jacobs fan myself. I admire his story, I admire his background, but at the same time, when it comes to being inside of that ring, man, it's just such a dangerous, Golovkin is such a dangerous opponent for anybody he fights. Whether you think he's better than Golovkin or whether you think Golovkin is a shitty fighter or not, it doesn't really matter. He's still a dangerous opponent to anybody he fights. And so far, he's been proving it. So, but we'll see. But until then, guys, comment your thoughts. Let me know what you guys feel Daniel Jacobs needs to do to avoid, you know what I'm saying, being ran through like 23 of Golovkin's last opponents being stopped. Let me know what you feel that Triple G maybe needs to look out for when it comes to Daniel Jacobs, you know what I mean? Anything can happen in the ring, guys, even though you guys know that I'm not rooting for Triple G or anything, but I just, in my opinions, I see him being the very likely person to win, you know what I mean? So let me know what you guys think about either guy and maybe what they need to do in order to be more successful in the ring, or at least be able to have more of a chance to win. But share the video with your boxing homies. If you're looking forward to this fight, I will be doing more and more videos, you know, leading up to the fight about it. I'm gonna actually try to get more into the, you know, breaking down how these fighters kind of, you know, how Daniel Jacobs and Triple G stacks up together. But I feel like to kick it off, it's only right that I talk about what Daniel Jacobs needs to do to avoid, or to at least be a little bit more successful in the ring. You know what I'm saying? So, but introduce somebody to boxing, guys. Stay tuned for my Daniel Jacobs versus Triple G videos that I will be letting out on occasion, or, you know, from time to time. And then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. But I will talk to you guys on the next one. Sebastian from The Boxing Tip signing out. Peace.